What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Ani-mity. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a video I don't mean to make a habit of making, but at the same time I feel like as a somewhat content creator, as someone who is on this platform, as someone who's a part of things here, should be talking about. And I feel like it's a discussion that all of us who have any say or any part in what's going on the internet should be talking about here. Today, I'm going to be talking about online censorship. Now, normally when it comes to real-life events, when it comes to stuff that's happening around the world, I don't tend to make videos talking about it. I don't tend to really have these discussions with people or with just anyone, just in general. I don't have these conversations. And it's mostly because I don't mind having a good argument, I don't mind having a good debate, I don't mind if someone has a different opinion from me or believes something. I love getting to hear other people's stances and other people's opinions on it, so long as it's not directly harming or affecting someone else in the process. I love getting to see other mindsets and other ways of looking at the world, because it ultimately makes me appreciate my perspective so much more and kind of gives me more insight into my own perspective, because sometimes I don't even understand my perspective fully. That's something that I've mentioned this in my Fan vs. Critics with Ollie all the time. It's the message we kind of want to be able to express. We always want to be able to be advocates for an open platform for people to share their opinions, their thoughts, whatever it may be. We want people to have the freedom to be able to share how they think and feel about things freely, openly, and without criticism or judgment. Being willing to hear other people's responses and being able to see differing views, but not feeling like it's a direct attack or assault on their beliefs or on their thoughts or feelings. That's the thing we've always believed in. That's the thing we've always wanted to be able to express. And hearing the news about so many of these acts that have been taken against our freedom and against the ways in which that's being provided to people on the internet, it's scary. I think that it's very, very scary to see. And I could go into talking a little bit more about, I guess, the nature of online anonymity. I could go into talking about a little bit more of the politics, I guess, behind it. But that's not really what I want to make this video about, because that's not ultimately what this channel is for. I've always said that I wanted this channel to be a platform for storytelling, the craft behind it, for me to be able to tell my own stories, and all being able to have that expression, to be able to have that freedom to be able to say the things that I feel and think about a lot of what's happened, a lot of how I feel with a lot of this. And I wanted to first talk about it through the perspective of YouTube, and particularly about the AI that's going to be implemented. If you're unaware for whatever reason, I would suggest not getting your news directly from me and looking into this yourself. But there's been talks about an AI being implemented into YouTube, which would supposedly, and I say supposedly because I don't believe it's going to work whatsoever, but it's supposed to be able to predict your age based on the videos that you watch, and then be able to apply filters so that way you're not seeing supposedly inappropriate content for your age demographic. Now, there's a big problem that I have with that, because I watch a lot of anime, which in some spheres of the internet is considered for children. Now, the stuff that I particularly watch in anime may not directly be considered for children, but there are aspects of anime which I do believe would be. Does that make me a child? Does that make someone like me who watches anime instantly considered a child as far as the YouTube algorithm goes? We don't really know, and that's kind of the impression that YouTube has given us. That's the impression that a lot of the articles have given us as to how this is supposed to work and how this platform is supposed to change in that way. And that's kind of scary, because I mean, it's the ways in which we're receiving information, and for some people, it's how we witness news, it's how we get stories about things off the internet, but it's also just, it's limiting in the way that we enjoy this platform. I love YouTube so much because of the fact that it's an open platform for anyone to post whatever they want to, or almost whatever they want to, I should say. It's a platform where where someone like me, who doesn't have much of a following, or who doesn't have much of a background or reason for people to really listen to me, it gives me a platform to be able to speak. It gives me a base from which to build a greater foundation because of the fact that I'm free to talk about what I want to. And while I don't do YouTube as a professional career of any kind, it does kind of make it feel like it's even less worth doing if I'm realizing that most of what I'm saying isn't getting through to people. And, I don't know how many people, I know I have 64 subscribers, I don't know how many of those people come back, I don't know how many of those people watch my videos regularly or even watch them all the way through. But, the idea that there's even less people that could be listening to what I'm saying because of these actions being taken is kind of sad. And I'd imagine, for someone who's actually trying to make a career off doing YouTube, that works even harder against you. And you're already starting with an uphill battle because of the fact, with how YouTube is, there's so many people posting on the internet every single day, almost every single second. So how are you supposed to compete against that? There's like billions of voices, how do you stand out? And this feels like it's only gonna harm the platform in that way. Which I think is also just sad, because that takes away from the beauties and magic of what makes YouTube such a wonderful platform, or what I used to appreciate so much about YouTube. And really just there's so much about the censorship policies that I just, for the practices that they're trying to sell us on, I guess is the word, it sounds like a good concept, but ultimately in practice there's no way to be able to implement it without some encroachment on the freedoms that we appreciate with the internet. It's something that I believe is forgotten so often, that the internet spans over our entire world, and with that you have cultures and beliefs and practices from all over the world, which often will clash with each other. And I feel like the practices that people are putting in place to try to separate the world from each other kind of goes against the core of what makes the internet, and being able to connect all these people and all these different cultures and all these different ideas and ways of looking at the world, and just recounts of what's happening in the world around them. The actions being taken in trying to censor the internet in that way, I feel like goes against so much of what makes the internet the place that it is. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a good purpose behind it. There are things on the internet that I do believe shouldn't necessarily. That's more like the harmful stuff, the stuff that's negatively influencing people, the things that lead to more like cyberbullying, the things that lead to online attacks and harassment toward demographics and toward people. The negative stuff on the internet, I do think, should in some ways be regulated, not repressed entirely, but there's some moderation, there's something that needs to happen with that. Now, I'm not entirely sure what, I'm not someone who's knowledgeable enough to say what exactly should be. I'm just saying, from someone who's been on the internet, for someone who's seen demographics being attacked before by people on the internet, there are actions that can be taken in response to things like that, of that nature. But I'm not the most knowledgeable, I'm not informed enough to be able to give an opinion on how that should be done or what should be done in place of how things are now. All I can say is just what I've experienced, what I've noticed, and it's like, as I said, the message, the selling point behind a lot of these censorship bills that people are trying to push, it sounds good in theory. It's just, in practice, I can't see a way in which it works in a way that allows the internet to continue to be the open and free place that it is. And I think it still should be with a bit of a guiding hand from not an external force, more like from older figures or people who are more responsible with what's on this internet, what's on the internet as it is. Something that my dad would tell me all the time growing up, and something that I still very firmly believe now, is everything in moderation. And I do think that that's very much true with what's happening on the internet, with information being provided on the internet. There's so much on there that is a mix of fact, of fiction, of so much else. And rather than blanketly saying it's all bad because of the fact that it's that mix, I think it's more, again, moderation. You take everything with that little bit of a grain of salt. You take the time to do your own research, you take the time to inform your own opinions by figuring things out for yourself. Don't just blanketly believe what someone else is saying. Form your own opinions. Use that brain. It's in your head for a reason. Use it. And, I feel like saying the internet blanketly is to cause for a lot of the decline, a lot of the ways in which the world is just not fair. I spoke with my grandma about this also recently, and she said, like, oh, the internet's to blame for making us not as smart because of how reliant we are. And we are reliant on it. But I don't think going cold turkey and saying, like, oh, just eliminate the internet altogether is a solution either. I think it's just there's a step back we need to take, and there's a moderation that we need to implement for it. Now, I can admit, I am constantly on the internet. I'm looking up videos for entertainment purposes. I'm looking up, books or stories that I can read. I'm on the internet often, and, sometimes at the expense of enjoying time outside with my friends or doing other things that I could be doing with my life. And I can admit, I have an obsession with being on the internet. Like, I feel like a lot of people my generation do. But I don't think the internet as a whole is the problem. It's just that being able to implement moderation. Now, doing it on your own is hard. It's like breaking a habit. Once you start a habit on something, it's incredibly hard to break. The way to do so is implement better habits to start building away from the bad habits. Now again, doing that is hard. It's the Sisyphean task until you finally make it a habit, at which point, once you get that momentum going, nothing is going to stop you. It's just a matter of getting to that point of starting it, which I get it. It's hard. There are some habits I've been working to try to break for a very, very long time, and I'm still working very hard to try to break them. And I haven't quite yet for some, but I recognize them. I'm trying to do what I can to break them. And that's ultimately what we have to do. We have to have someone who can hold us accountable to working toward that. And, I have amazing friends who've been by my side to say they're going to help me with breaking some of my habits. And sometimes that's really all it takes, is just that community. And I'd say I wouldn't have this community if it wasn't for having the access to the internet that I've had. So it's just it's that balance, the other side of the argument with it, that I kind of wanted to express with this discussion, with this video. I would not have discovered my love of anime without the freedom of experiencing communities through the internet the way I have. Or heck, even something I didn't really know how I wanted to go about discussing, because it's a trickier thing to talk about, especially as someone who, wants to become a screenwriter and wants to be able to do things within this medium. Being able to be exposed to episodes of anime through, like, stuff like Kiss Anime back when I was a lot younger, before I moved away from that and started using things like Crunchyroll, or using things like Funimation back when that was a thing, or using Amazon or Netflix. Being able to have that free and open access to anime, while I see the counter argument of, that's money you're taking away from the people who are making it by watching it for free. If I didn't have that avenue in the first place, I would never have discovered that I love anime. And there's some animes I would never have discovered because they're not even available on most of the platforms that I would be consuming it from. It's the openness of the internet and the freedom to be able to view whatever I wanted to, regardless of who I was with that kind of thing, or where it is I am in the world, is one of the things that makes the internet wonderful to me. I'm not gonna say like, the most amazing thing or that kind of thing, because it's, again, moderation. It's the balance. There is a negative that comes with all the good that's come for it, but I don't want to neglect entirely the good that the internet has provided to me. And I just wanted to use this video and take this chance to be able to express my opinions on all of this myself, and be able to just be one of the probably thousands of voices that are screaming about this now and that are trying to make their voices heard. I want to do my part, and I want to be able to make my voice heard, and not be a voice of the people, but just be able to put my foot forward. it's the thing that I'm always the most afraid of doing, and again, why I don't really talk about politics or why I don't really talk about world events here is because it constantly feels like, even if there are other people who believe the same things I do, we're voices shouting into the void, that we're not being heard, we're not being listened to. What's the point? Why does it matter? And ultimately, I feel like that's the greatest disservice we can do to ourselves. We have a voice, and we have a responsibility with this platform to use it to be able to express ourselves. And I'm sorry that I've taken so long to be able to realize that and to take that chance. Again, it's not necessarily in my nature to be confrontational. It's not in my nature to be able to really talk about the things that I believe when it comes to the world around me, because I never feel like I'm knowledgeable enough, and I feel like most of the time, because of the lack of knowledge I have on something, that I shouldn't be talking about it in the first place. But ultimately, in cases like that, it's up to us to be able to inform ourselves and to make opinions, to be able to share them. And if we're wrong, to be willing to own up to that and be able to learn from what the community tells us. And that's something that I want to try to be better at, and something that I want to try to improve in myself, if I can. And I know I can in ways. It's just putting that step forward. Again, it's mental is mostly what it is in my case. It's just being able to say, you can do this. It's just a matter of getting out of your own head and doing it, which I'm hoping to build into over time. But yeah, that's ultimately what I wanted to say with this. Sorry if this got a little bit rambly at points and didn't really know where it was going. It's like, if it was confusing as to where it was going, it was just as confusing for me trying to talk about this. I've written scripts for how it is I wanted to go about saying this, with like bullet points of the main things that I wanted to talk about. And the issue is, not to pat myself on the back too much, I can write scripts. Can I read them and accurately give the inflection and emotion that I want to behind them? Not always. It's hard when it comes to these kind of things. Like when I'm doing a reading for a smaller project or like an acting thing, it's a little easier to be in that headspace. But when you're trying to be genuine about something, it's hard to read from a script and kind of get that emotion across where you can. So I'm hoping that I got my feelings and thoughts across with this video, and I hope that I made myself clear. And if I haven't, then please feel free to say so in the comments, and I'll make another video talking about my thoughts, my feelings on a lot of this. But ultimately, like I said, I just wanted to be able to share my voice in the state of things with this, and be able to be a part of the push toward keeping our anonymity where we can, if we still can, while we still have time. So thank you guys so much for listening to me. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys will like, comment, subscribe, and share this with your friends, so that way they can be a part of the conversation too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.